Hello there, welcome to my channel. My name is Andrew Semaganda, and today I want to show you how to develop Microsoft Access tables. In my previous videos, I shared some of the objects you will find in a Microsoft Access database. So today I want to focus on tables. The other objects are forms, queries, reports, but today we want to focus on tables. Tables is where information is kept in a database. Today I'm going to assume that we are developing a school database. I'm going to assume two tables. The first table is teachers table. The second table, students table. The teachers table will be made of the following fields. These are the columns in a teacher's table. So teacher ID will be a column, first name will be a column, last name will be a column, date of birth will be a column, state will be a column, address will be a column, qualification will be a column, date join will be a column, gender will be a column, married will be a column. Then for students table, we look at student ID as a column, teacher ID as a column. The reason why I repeat teacher ID, as I'll be explaining as we go along, is because I want these two tables to communicate to one another. So the first name will be a column, last name will be a column, date of birth for the student will be a column, class of a student will be a column, address of the student will be a column, and then gender will be a column. So we can go to Microsoft Access. You go to Access, assuming that we're creating a database for a school. You go to Start, click on Access. We want a blank database. Click on Blank Database. I'm going to call this database a school database. Let me select a folder. You select a folder where you want to keep your database. Otherwise, you might save the database and fail to locate its folder. I'm going to save my database under a folder I created. I called it YouTube. Okay, I'd already created a school database. Here, let me rename this one school database 2. I click OK. I'm changing this one to 2 because I had already created a school database. So click Create. As you can see, this is the Microsoft Access development environment which I shared with you last time. So in order to show you these tables, how they are developed from scratch, I'm going to close. You come here and close this table that has popped up. Microsoft Access is like suggesting a table, a template for you to use. So I'm going to close this table here. I don't need this table because I want to show you how to develop Microsoft Access tables from scratch. So I'm going to close this table such that I have this development environment. I want to show you how to develop the tables from scratch. I'm going to show you two methods of developing the tables. there is this option, table and table design. So we click on table, click on save table. You remember our two tables? The first table is teacher's table. You come and name this one as teacher's table. Well, you can leave space between teacher and table, but the best programming methods is better not to leave space. So you click on OK. Then after that, you are going to go into design view. Design view will give you an option of developing tables using the back end of the table. This is like the front, but when I go to design view, this is the back end of the table. So we are going to start creating our columns. These will be columns. These are the columns. Okay, all the fields in our Microsoft Access tables. So we are going to start with, what is the first column or field? Teacher ID, first name, last name. So I go to my database. I say teacher ID, then first name, last name. Don't worry about this part. I'm going to explain this part. I go back and pick more. Date of birth, state, address, date of birth, state, address. We go back and pick more. Qualification, date joined, qualification or qualifications, date joined. This information is for the teachers table. We go on and select more, gender, and then married. Gender, and then married. Sorry. This one will be like a question, married, yes or no. So we have created the teachers table. So let me explain the meaning of the data type. Now, data type means the type of data that you'll be capturing in those fields. But before we continue, let me show you how our table looks. So I save the table, close here, and now our teachers table is already created. So when I double click, you'll see these are the different fields or columns I created. You remember this? So these are the different columns. So this is the information that we'll be capturing for each teacher. So let's continue with improving this table. So you make sure that you are under tables. If you are under queries, you can click on queries, and if you don't see your tables, you can click on tables, and the system takes you back to tables. So the way you close this table, you just click here. If you click here, It will ask, do you want to save changes in the layout? The reason why it is asking for this, it is because I expanded this part here. You can say yes or no. Let me say yes. You're going to go back to the design view of this table. Okay, you right click it. This one is grayed out, but you can do it from here. Right click and say design. So teacher ID, you expect each teacher to have a unique ID. So I expect that ID to be unique. Auto means that the computer or Microsoft Access will be automatically allocating IDs from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and so on. But I want to use a text. Let me use short text. You can see that the size of this field is 255. It means that you can type 255 characters in this column, in this field. But you know, an ID shouldn't take 255 characters. I can reduce this one to 10. By doing so, I'm making my database to be light. It will be very light. It will not be heavy. So I don't need to allocate 255 characters for an ID. Otherwise, the person who will be inputting the information will spend a lot of time inputting an ID of 255 characters. So I think 10 characters are good, or even 5. So as you can see, this is the field size. I'll explain this later, but the most important thing here is that this field, someone has to enter, it's required, enter information in it. So required means, yes, someone has to enter information in it. And the most important part here is to understand what this one means. Index can either be no or yes, duplicates are okay. But of course, we don't want teachers to share the same ID number. So we want this indexed, but no duplicates. For now, let me leave that field and move to the next field. When you click on the next field, this is where you control the fields. So the next field is the first name. Of course, again, you don't expect a first name to have 255 characters. So I can give it, say, maybe 30. Short text. And then last name. You don't expect, again, this to have very many characters. Maybe I give this one again 30. Date of birth. For date of birth, I'm going to select date as the type of data. All these are the different types of data. It can be short text, it can be long text, it can be a number, it can be a large number, it can be date or time, it can be currency, it can be auto number. This is what I explained, auto generated. It can be yes or no. It can be picture. This is an object, OLE object, and so on and so forth. So this one is date of birth. So I pick date, and I come down here to select a format. There are many formats of that date. Make sure that this one is selected. You can see it is highlighted in pink. So if I click here, I can select the format I want for my date. So I always use medium date depending on the type of date you want. You can even select date with time. So I select this and then state State can be 30 again, maybe 30 characters. Address can be more than 30, but however, there is a text we can use called long text. We can use long text. Then for qualification, we can use maybe 100. Then date joined, again we go back to date and then we select format, medium date, and then for gender can either be male or female. So you can see male has 4 characters, female I think they are 6 characters. You can as well use M or F. So to make my database very light, I can use 1 character. It can either be male or female. Then married is a question, married yes or no. This can be yes or no. So this is how you optimize your table. Then this column, this is where you explain what this field means. Like teacher's ID, you can type there. This keeps unique teacher's ID. And then first name, again you can say for keeping first name, and so on and so forth. Most cases people don't complete this part, but it is very important to complete it, because when you come back to the database you'll be able to know the meaning of these fields. So let's move on to the next step. We can now save our table. Then after saving the table, before we continue, I want to first show you a technique here. You can use, instead of someone typing M or F, they will just select from a drop down. So I'm going to change the data type here using a technique called Lookup Wizard. So you click here, Lookup Wizard. This wizard creates a lookup field which displays a list of values you can choose from. In other words, the person doing data entry will be able to choose from a list. How do you want lookup fields to get these values? I want the lookup field to get the values from another table or query. So you can make this to look for information from another table, or I will type in values that I want. Because I know the values that I want, they are just 2, F and M, male and female. Next. So here you just want 1 column. One is F, and then another one is M. F meaning female, then another one M meaning male. You go next. Here you just click finish. Okay, there are some things here. Do you want to limit entries to the choices? Yeah, you can limit entries to the 2 choices. You can say limit to list. it's a finish. So I'm going to show you how our table now looks. Now again, go back to save. After saving, I can close this design view. This is the design view of a table. Close here. So when I double click my table, you can see how our table looks like. Let's try to enter some information in this table. Teacher's ID. Let's assume maybe SA000. You can see I can't enter more than 5 characters. Assuming it's SA0001. First name. I'm going to use my name, Andrew. Last name. Date of birth. Now, here, because we used date and time, we have what we call a calendar. So you just select from a calendar. Of course, scrolling will take you a bit of time. You can just pick any date and edit it. Say 18th August 1980. State. Again, this can also be a drop down, but meanwhile, let's leave it at that. We can say state. Just say Kampala. Address. You can put address. Maybe you can put 200 AA Street. Qualification. You can say bachelor, maybe Bachelor of Commerce. Date joined. Again, I can select a date here. Just select a date. You see, when you leave this field, it will convert to your format you set in the design. So you remember this? I set this to either be male or female. So of course this is a male. So if I try to type in something else, it will not accept because I limited it to the list. So I select male. Married. I can say yes. Then I can enter another person. Maybe NA, maybe SA002. Assume maybe the school is SS school. These are the teachers. Maybe this one is Mire. Last name. Assuming we have a last name here. Taylor. Date of birth. You can select anything and edit the date of birth accordingly. State. Say just assuming anything. State California. Address. Assuming it's the same address. Okay, a technique here I've used to enter the same address is control apostrophe. Qualification, Bachelor of Statistics, date joined, assuming the date joined is just speaking, and this one is female. Married, yes. So I've captured some information about teachers table. So here, even if you don't save, you just close, because Microsoft Access saves information automatically. I just close this. So when I come back to my table, assuming that I made a mistake here, I can even edit. I can change this one, say to Texas. You can change this one to say Washington, like that. So when I close, you see the changes are already reflected. So this is how you create tables. Remember, we have created one table, that is the teachers table. So let's move on to creating the second table using the second option. I'm going to use table design. It's the same principle. So click table design. This time we want to create students table, student ID, teacher ID. So I start with student ID, teacher ID, first name, last name, date of birth, first name, last name, date of birth, class, address, gender, class, address, gender. So again, you make your data types here. Student ID, you want it to be short text. You can make this one maybe 6. And remember, we want this to be indexed and no duplicates. Okay. Teacher's ID, you have to make this data type as the same as the teacher ID field in this table. You remember it was 5. And here you don't need to index, because this one will be referencing to the unique ID in the teacher's table. So this one, don't index, leave it the way it is, as I will explain later on. First name, again, we can use 30. Last name, again, we can use 30. Date of birth, we can use date, and we select a format, medium, date, class, 10 characters, address, we can use long text, gender, male or female. This time I'm going to use 6 characters just to explain how to make a wizard. So you go lookup. I will type in the values that I want. You click next. So here, gender can either be female or male. You go next, limit to list. If you don't limit to list, someone will be able to type other things in that field. So we want to limit to list and then finish. So we've created our table and we select save. This is students table. Click OK. So sometimes you'll get this message, but what it means, you have not set the primary key. A primary key means that you have to make sure that each student has a unique ID. So I'm going to select, do you want to create primary key? Select yes. It will automatically add a primary key. As you can see, this one looks like a key. If you look at this little diagram here, it looks like a key. So I'm going to save again and then close. Let's check if we had a primary key in the teacher's table. In order to know that it has a primary key, you go back to design view, you right click. No, it doesn't have a primary key, but we can add a primary key. It's very simple. This time you just right click this this orange part here, right click, and it's a primary key, as simple as that. I save my table, close. So you can see now we have two tables, teacher's table and the student's table. So if I open the student's table, I want to capture one student, assuming okay, this one has created a new column, an ID, which it has created automatically, and I don't need it. So you right click, go to design. Okay, because it added a primary key, it added it on a new auto-generated field. I can delete this, delete row. Deleting fields ID requires Microsoft Access. Delete the primary key. Do you want to delete this field anyway? Yes. And I put my primary key on this field. So I put primary key on that. Save, close. So you double click. So the other column with ID has disappeared. So I'm going to assume maybe this student 001 6 digits teacher's ID. I'm going to connect this student, assuming this student is being taught by SA001. Remember, SA001 in this table is Andrew. So this first name, James, and then last name, date of birth, pick something and edit it. Class, You can as well have this one as a drop down. Address, maybe 1, 2, 3, 4. Texas. Gender, male. And that's it. And then you close. So when you go to your students table, that information is there. As I conclude, I'm going to show you how you can make two tables talk to each other. So you are going to go to the database tools, select relationships. I'm going to close this. We don't need this hide table, hide table, hide table. So I want to bring these tables on this working area. So you right click, you show table. I want to show this table and this table, add. So I want to make a connection between teachers table. You can always make them look organized. So, and do that, do that. Now, the way you make a connection between teachers table and the student table is very easy. You just pick this teacher ID and then drag it onto teacher ID here. I'll explain the meaning of enforcing referential integrity, but for now I just say create. It puts a connection, a line, meaning that this table is connected to this table. So I can close this. These are called relationships. Relationships is where you connect the tables such that they can communicate to one another. So I can close this. You can first save, just save, and then close. Now, the effect of that connection we've made can be seen when you go to teacher's table. When you go to teacher's table, you see this plus sign here? When I click on it, it will show that Andrew is the teacher of James. But when I click on this one, it is empty because we have not connected any student to Mary. I think this covers the tables, and in my next video, I'll be explaining the meaning of forms and how to create the forms. Thank you very much for listening to me, and please tune in to the next video where I'll be explaining the forms. And thank you very much. Talk to you soon. Bye.